All right, everyone in?
I'm here.
All right, amazing.
I'm in.
Here comes the music. Welcome to another episode of the Critical Mess podcast. I'm your host, Sleep Monkey.
I'm Pilgrim. I'm also here.
I'm Doodle.
Okay.
All right, we need to kind of get that order sorted out.
Yeah, we kind of do.
Oh, fuck, whose order is the dog? Okay, how has everyone been?
I've been good. Yeah, I've been good. I since we last spoke, I had a baby, so that was exciting.
Woo!
Yeah, that's why
Player 3 has entered the game.
Yeah, Player 3's entered the game, and so it's been a little bit quiet on the old content front. But once she's settled down into a routine, then we can make some more, keep stuff coming.
Then she'll start writing articles, so that's great.
So get a typewriter in front of her ASAP.
Typewriter, yeah, sure. That's how we write our articles on typewriter. This is maybe why our content takes so long. We should consider some other methods.
It's pen and paper, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Literally faster than a typewriter.
Doodle and I have been playing a load of Apex Legends.
Yeah, I've been hearing. I've been pretty jealous. I only had time to play it once really quickly a couple of weeks back, but it is like just when it came out. But it looks amazing.
Oh, it's really
So
good. I played it so much that I actually dreamt about it last night. That's how bad it is.
Nice.
But it was like
which characters are you playing as?
Well, so we were talking about this today. Doodle, I guess you're repping what's his name?
Robo-Bitch.
Robo-Bitch. The
Who's Robo-Bitch?
Pathfinder.
Oh, the one who looks like Chappie.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, and I'm really, really fucking into Mirage. I can't imagine playing anybody else now.
Is that the one that
awesome.
that can sneak around and make portals and stuff?
No. So he can make like decoy versions of himself that run out, and if anyone shoots your decoy, then you can see where they are basically.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. I love it, and also he is quite a fun character to play as. He's quite a good personality.
Yeah, when I played twice, and the first time I was the big man Gibraltar, whatever he's called.
Yeah, the big boy.
The big boy.
Big Chungus.
Yeah.
He was very fun to play as, and I actually got a couple of kills with him. He's got his ultimate, this shield he makes is very good indeed.
Yeah, that's his regular skill.
Oh, is
Get
it?
it right, man. Get it right.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, man. Oh, well, anyway, I shows how often I used it. But it was pretty good. And then the second time I played as the medic lady. And,
Lifeline.
Yeah, and she was pretty good because I'm not great at shooters on PS. At least I can be helpful and heal people and bring them equipment and stuff.
Yeah, I got mixed feelings about Lifeline. I don't know really if she's that useful or not. It's quite good that her ultimate is the supply drop, which sometimes drops big dings, as she would say. But that's ultimately all you're doing is giving yourself like free loot. But there's plenty of loot already out there, so
I think it's really good. The res shield is really strong in a lot of
true,
situations.
actually.
And
That
also
is
the
really
25% faster healing is also really useful.
Right.
So Apex Legends has like, I don't know, so it started off with 2 million players and then 10 million and now 25 and probably by now it's even more than that. It's
it was 25 million players. It was 2 million concurrent players.
Yeah, it's really popular.
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, it's doing well. It's a fun game.
Yeah.
Really works well.
Yeah.
I'm really glad.
Especially after that stealth release. It was just amazing coming out of nowhere.
Which, as we've talked about, I still have mixed feelings about the stealth release.
I hear that. And I was thinking about this because there was some chatter about it on Reddit. And I can't remember what the question was on Reddit I was reading. It's something like, what... will other publishers learn from this and repeat this sort of tactic? And it just made me realise that the only reason that this worked is because it's actually a great fucking game. Like, can you imagine if they tried to launch Anthem like this? Like, no hype, no pre-orders, no marketing.
It would have been better. To be honest, it would have been better, I think.
Anthem?
Yeah, couldn't be worse than the clusterfuck.
No, it would have been worse. I mean, it would. Okay,
That's true. Like, I'm not sure it actually would be worse because it's still fucking shit, right?
So from EA's perspective, it would be way worse because imagine if they just released this with no hype. Okay.
Yeah.
Some people pick it up like, oh, there's a game from EA. They haven't marketed it. Oh, it turns out it's shit. The end. No one tells anyone about it.
Yeah, unless it's free. But if it's free to play, which it should have been, in my opinion.
Sure. Yeah. But this is what I mean. With Apex, it only worked because it's maybe because it's free to play, but I think mostly because it's a really great game and it's super high quality.
That's true.
It speaks for itself. Because the
EA
bar is a bit lower. They're coming from pre-orders and overhype, and there's so many deranged people on Twitter now going on about how amazing Anthem is. But
maybe people do like it. I mean, I think it does appeal to certain people. Like Destiny 2 was probably not a good game, sort of objectively speaking, but a lot of people really like it and still do.
I think I can see Destiny 2's merits, but I mean, Anthem is this like.
I can see Anthem's merits as well. I just think it's broken.
Well, yeah, but it's not broken in a way like it's broken, it's just not so fun. It's broken as in like it's literally broken, like the game, like it's broken.
It's not great. It's not great.
And you're talking of Anthem. That's some of the news I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I was going to say, is this bringing us into the news section?
Yeah, I think so because there's been so much of as you say, it's been a total shitfest. The release, there's been all sorts of problems and stuff, and then they talk about a day one patch, but it's not a day one patch because the game's been out for 7 days or 5 days. If you're in like the EA's like sex club, then you get to play it early or whatever the deal is with that.
That's the thing. You pay more to play it early, but without the patch. So it's like, what the?
But also, how is it a day one patch? And also, day one patches suck, man. It's like fix your game and then release it.
Yeah, I know. And also, if only they had like a test or some kind of beta test, a month before it released, so that they could do the patch earlier. It's like, Jesus, what are they thinking?
And also, like a live service game. Don't use live service as like a really bad mask for we need to fix this game because it's still not ready. Live service means there's new content coming out to a complete game. This is bullshit. It's the same with Battlefield 5. Like, it's like, it's a live service game. That's why we haven't added, teammate dragging. That's why we haven't added the Battle Royale. It released without the single player game.
And you know what? The live service, okay, you can kind of get it if it's free to play, but if you pay full price and then they're like, we'll fix it later. It's like, no, fuck off, sell full game. Like, I'm going to buy a car and they'll be like, we'll put the steering wheel in it later. The brakes are coming like with the day 2 patch.
But it's messed up. And I mean, because that's not what live service is. Live service should be, you get a full game and then you add exciting new content for it. Not like, we cobble it together as we go.
And so I guess it's taken some pretty bad hits in the reviews.
Yeah, it's been bad. And this is, by the way, this is one of the things about the fantasy Metacritic we've been doing.
This was unfair. I think we should write this one off.
Yeah, because so we've been doing this. So for those who don't know, we've been doing a fantasy Metacritic where each month we pick out 5 games to predict the Metacritic score for, and Anthem was one of them for this month. And while I think all 3 of us here agreed that the game was going to objectively suck, none of us had faith in the sort of game review journalism. So we all put
That's exactly it.
Yeah, we all thought like, it'll get, it's going to suck, but it'll get like 80 at least because it's an EA game and they never get really bad. But turns out we were wrong because this is the one that they decided to take their stand on. They got 60. Yeah. 60 it's on at the moment.
It's incredible.
That's
and to be absolutely honest... To be absolutely honest, although yes, I think it's a bad game and I think it deserves a bad review. If you look at the other games that the reviewers and IGN or whatever have given 60, it's better than those games.
Well, I don't know. I was thinking about that because there was I think I read that PC Gamer gave it 55, and I think that's lower than they gave to Fallout 76, which is a bit harsh.
Yeah, I think that's wrong. I mean, that's just wrong, surely.
I don't know about it because it is it's a boring game.
Yeah, it's a boring game, but we did have fun, playing it. I mean, that's true of any game, obviously, that we play together. But
but it was buggy,
I don't think
there were issues, and I don't know. And also,
talking about Anthem now or Fallout 76?
Anthem, and I think the Doodle put it very well towards the end about the lack of depth to it.
Yeah,
I didn't really understand at the time when he was explaining it, but I can see now that I've watched more footage of it that it's just not there.
Can I just say one thing about Anthem, and then I guess we should stop talking about this train wreck of a game and let it die a quiet, dignified death. But
yes.
I was thinking about this, and this is obviously a game that was made by BioWare, who we know are good, but published by EA, who we know are bad. And obviously, this has got destroyed somewhere in the process of being a great idea to actually releasing and being a train wreck. But the idea is so good, It's like, what if it was a game where you could play as Iron Man, but you had guns? And if you start with that idea, you'd be like, okay, well then, what does that entail? It means a lot of flying around. It means a lot of air-to-air combat. It means a lot of, traversing vertical spaces. It means traveling very far, long distances very quickly.
Yes.
But instead, they just completely hamstring the flying function. It's all super kind of two-dimensional. You're just taking cover, ground combat, and there's no kind of, I don't know, if you wanted to build a game based around that flying mechanic, it could be amazing. And instead, feels like it's just kind of tacked on. That's all I wanted to say.
I wonder to what extent, though, that what you're describing now, Sleeve, is the result of a publisher like EA not wanting to fund experimentation and development of underlying technology. Because,
maybe.
I mean, the things you just described, I'm thinking like an Iron Man guy flying around shooting missiles and like circling around some other flying thing, and then they're crash landing, and now there's like a giant robot sword fight or whatever.
Dogfights and
but
chasing people.
It's not there. It's like, you can flap around for like 10 seconds, then your fuel runs out, and then there's loads of mobs who just stand still and shoot you and don't react when you shoot them.
And there's no benefit to flying, really. You know, you can only shoot when you hover, which just makes you a pretty easy target.
Yeah, and it's just not really. You could sort of see that they didn't really spend much time developing, novel AI to go with this, threat of verticality. It's like now if you're hovering, you get shot from anywhere, and you can't really see where the bullets are coming from, so you just start losing health, which is really weird. Because you're going to be visible a whole lot of the time. So surely you should design a game in such a way that it makes sense that when you are hovering, you can sort of see where you're being shot at from, and the AI reacts in a suitable manner to a levitating threat, not just treat you like something that's, walking on a platform.
Yeah, exactly right. That's what I wanted to say anyway. But I think we should put Anthem to bed because it's, it might recover. It might make a comeback.
No,
I can see that.
It's toast.
I can see that happening.
It's toast.
No, I don't think so. I can see it. I can see them releasing new seasons,
French
new content.
fried toast. Do you know why?
I can see it doing a Ubisoft type thing, where they release a game.
Funny you mentioned that, because next month we've got The Division 2 coming out. And if you're looking for a live service co-op shooter game, then, there you go. And also it's got really tight gunplay, the Division. I mean, the Division 1 had it too. That was one of its stronger sides. And now you've got the Division 2, which is building on that. There's PvP, there's co-op, there's PvE. It's just going to be a better experience.
I only played the Division, the first one, once for a few hours. I think it was like a free weekend or something.
Yeah.
And holy crap, that was the most boring game I think I've ever played. I was just mind-blowingly bored, like from start to finish, and I just put the controller down at one point, and I don't even think I turned the PlayStation off. My brain just said, "Dude, you need to rethink your life." Basically,
just walked away in disgust.
Just walked out, with a blank expression.
I think I had the same thing. I played on the free weekend, but I thought it was quite jolly. I think I played it with a friend, and we were running around into the dark zone or whatever it's called, where you go into this dangerous area to go and get high tier items. It was pretty cool.
So do you predict? Did you predict the Division 2 is going to do well?
I'm not going to give away show my cards just yet, because that's one of the 5 games we have to predict for next month. But I'll tell you that I don't think it's going to do badly.
What do you think, Doodle? Did you play the first one, Doodle?
I didn't play them, no. I only heard mediocre things about the series, though. I guess the first game, really.
Yeah, mediocre, lukewarm is the best anyone has ever described. Those games.
I'm going to. Well, we are going to post an update at the end of the month, revealing the scoreboard and how at the end of the month. I think there's one more game this month that we've all predicted, which is the console edition of Stellaris coming to.
And I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, are you going to pick it up?
Oh yeah, hell yeah! I need to pre-order it actually. Well, I don't know. It's not really my kind of game, but you keep talking about it so much. I have to get it.
It's going to be amazing. I think you'll fucking love it. It's like a sci-fi dream, If you like any kind of sci-fi, like Star Wars, Star Trek,
I love sci-fi.
Fucking anything, you'll love it, man. It's deep. It's deep.
All right.
I think it was too RTSy for me to get into. It was just like it kind of for me. It felt like it was dropping you in the deep end. I don't really know what's going on or what I'm supposed to be doing.
You mean real time?
The stars, yeah.
Well, so they are real time, but it's slightly different. It's not like RTS is in StarCraft or Age of Empires where you expect to play. The idea is that you pause the whole time. That's
I guess, yeah.
part of the idea of the game. That you get a pop up that says like, okay, now there's a slave revolt on your dust mining planet of Ulthor 4, and you need to
God
dispatch
damn those
soldiers
fucking miners, man.
Yeah, then you pause the game and you see what's going on, and then you play it again. It's good. There was something else I saw in the news which I've been thinking about.
Are you talking about World War Z, which I'm kind of vaguely interested in?
Yeah.
Well, so the only thing about that is that they've gone to Epic. They're going to go in the Epic Game Store.
Like Metro.
Like Metro, but Metro was a weird sort of a story because it's all, you know what it seems like? It's like they're under duress. It's like they're, they get wheeled out in front of a camera and say like, yes, we're very happy to be on the Epic Game Store. And there's like a pistol appearing in the side of the camera, like in the head. That's what it felt like with Metro. But with this,
it's more like a pile of cash in the other side of the room that you're looking at longingly.
Well, maybe. But now it's the game director who, I think it was the director who says that who did this big post saying how it's good for the industry. It's good for him as a smaller developer, and also for his team, rather, his company, and that he's happy to go to Epic, which is a bit weird. Yeah. I mean, it's like he's auditioning to be the poster child of the Epic Game Store.
He is.
He's also the only person who was, so I think he got the role.
But World War Z, remind me, this is the game that's already out. Is that right?
No, it's not. It's not out. It's a zombie shooting game. I think it's going to be kind of co-op-y, if I understand it correctly. And rather than just shooting...
I think it's like a Left 4 Dead kind of shooter.
Yeah, although I don't know if you've seen the movie World War Z, but it's...
Or read the book, jeez.
It's like a sort of... Well, I haven't read the book. It's... is it bad?
Yeah, it's bad.
Oh, anyway, it's not these like, you get to shoot 20 zombies who are running around like a Left 4 Dead, or like 50 in a stressful situation. It's like there is a literal flood of zombies. It's like a cloud of them, swarming towards you, and you just fire bullets into this sort of mass of zombie.
So that reminds me a bit of that other game that's meant to be coming out soon, apparently, despite the fact that it's been ready for like 2 years or whatever.
Oh my god! Yeah,
Days Gone.
Oh yeah.
Days Gone, which is like, I'm so confused because everything about that game is confusing to me. The fact that the people who made it, they worked on like I want to get this right. I think they worked on a mobile application of Naughty Dog Last of Us IP or some weird shit like that.
Okay.
What?
And then they make a game which looks like Last of Us, like visually.
Yes.
And then they were going to release it last year, but they were like, oh shit. Actually, Red Dead and Call of Duty Black Ops and all of these other games are coming out. And now it's coming out later in the year, is that right? When's it releasing? March?
It's in April, I think.
It's in April, okay.
It's not next month. What's it called? Is it called Days Gone? Is that the one?
Yeah, Days Gone, yeah.
So
April 26th.
Yeah, so it's really weird as well because they've had these sort of surges of media activity where they must have spent an awful lot of money to market it, and then it's like, okay, there's this really good game that's going to come out there, and then it's like, oh, and then they're really silent.
It's just literally what it's like. I feel like it's been going around for ages now. You see it again. It's like, do you know what it's like?
It's like this game.
Yeah, it's like Mountain Blade Warband 2 is what it feels like. You see it every now and then. It's like, aww.
Every time I see it, it's like I'm reminded that it's still not out, and it's the same.
But it's worse than Battlelord because Battlelord it just sort of pops up because someone maybe posts something like, "Oh yeah, here's what we're doing now." It's like the Lancers. Are
like, you guys are still alive. Oh, okay.
But it's a bit like if Star Citizen were like posting ads like constantly.
Yeah. Well, now it's like there's this huge ramped up media campaign. Like there's footage and adverts and stuff you'd like on YouTube. That's
for Star Citizen?
No, for Days Gone. It wasn't just like a dev post. It was like a literal ad campaign. But then they must have called it off last second. Pretty weird.
I'm so fucking tired of zombies, man. If I have to play another zombie game. I just don't know what I'll do.
It's a shame that it's just never much innovation. It's always contemporary.
It's just a tired-ass franchise.
Yeah. Well, and also now I know that you're pretty fond of arcadey sword play in a sort of Japanese style sleeve.
Oh yeah.
So next month there are 2 such games coming out for you. I think it's Devil May Cry 5, and then it's Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. And that's sort of an odd genre as well, because it's like you don't see very often a game like that, and now it's like bam, 2 within a week.
Yeah, and also Ghosts of Tsushima coming out. Not obviously right now, but later in the year, I think.
Yeah, exactly. But there's something else I wanted to talk about in the news, and that is that I know you guys are Sleeve in particular has been a bit dismissive of the upcoming pirate game from Ubisoft, Skull and Bones, and I think you're probably right in that it's going to be an arcadey sort of shitfest,
Yeah.
But because I'm obsessed with naval history, I'm going to end up getting it, and I'm going to end up really enjoying just looking around in this stupidly arcadey.
When does it release?
Boat simulator. Sometime this year. But the interesting thing about it is that Ubisoft, they've always been flirting with this idea about trying to combine their game IP with movies and TV series. So, they've got, for example, Assassin's Creed, which they've made that not very good movie with Michael Fassbender.
Was there? Oh my god!
I don't know if you saw that. It was pretty weak.
Did you know there was a Rayman TV series?
What?
Yeah, it's a true fucking story.
But that's Ubisoft as well. And isn't
that's what I'm saying.
Isn't Prince of Persia Ubisoft also?
Yes, it is. You're right.
And then there's also the Division. They're looking around with trying to get I think it's a movie or a TV series based on that setting. And with Skull and Bones, they're going to make a TV show featuring a lady pirate to sort of launch the setting a little bit.
I see.
So that would be pretty cool. I mean, the game's not even out, and they're already deep into the development of a TV show about it.
You mean they're already deep into other ways to monetize their IP?
Well, yeah. I mean, you could, in the one hand, it's sort of a. I don't know. You could view it in that light, but then another way, it is a pretty interesting idea to sort of combine the two. It does open up some interesting avenues, I think.
As far as I'm concerned, there's only one good adaptation of a video game to a TV series, and that was Red vs. Blue.
Oh. That was hilarious.
Yeah, that's the only good one as far as I'm concerned.
How was that so good, man? That was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, so brilliant. The thing about pirate games, so I feel like if you made a Star Citizen scope naval game, that shit would be dope.
Yes.
But I feel like no pirate game is gonna go with that scope.
They kind of do, but then they always end up being a bit boring because you just spend like.
But like they always like skimp out on some like
some details.
Like yeah, exactly.
I mean, look at Sea of Thieves. I think that's what you're thinking of, isn't it, Doodle?
I'm thinking of that, and also kind of the Assassin's Creed as well, the pirate
Black
game.
Flag one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's I'm very strongly invested in this topic because I really, really like naval history, and I mean, what game I'm playing now a lot, Naval Action, is an MMO, like an Age of Sail simulator, and it's pretty janky. It's got a very small player base, and I think that the problem with the genre is manifest in games like that, is that even though it's such a huge sort of popular thing in the public mind, it's actually quite a niche genre when it comes to gaming. There's not that many people who want to play it, or rather, I don't think you get a publisher to sign up for, developing the level of tech you need to do to make a Star Citizen scope pirate game.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Like, when you're settling for, like, Sea of Thieves, like, there's so much you're missing out on, Like, I want to... Like, if you were to convert, like, the mechanics of Star Citizen, like, I want to be able to, like, buy, like, a super massive ship and have my own crew on it and stuff,
Yeah, modify it.
It's some port and something,
Yeah.
So other people can see it and shit.
Yeah, and the wind mechanics would be, truly simulated so that you'd have actual force on the sails.
Maybe, like, land was generated and you could, like, hunt for treasure or whatever.
I'm completely with you, but this is, I think it's another one of these issues where there's a sort of disconnect between publishers and developers, because I'm sure there's a whole lot of developers who want to make a game like that, but I don't think they're going to find the money because no one's going to want to fund that, because it would be very expensive to develop the tech for that kind of game. And I don't think that it would be looking at a huge player base.
Yeah, water physics, I believe, are also particularly difficult to do, right?
Yeah.
In video games, or have been historically.
I mean, if you look at... I mean, I've been sort of working low-key in the background a little bit on an article series about Total War. And if you look at the game Empire Total War, it was the first one they introduced naval combat, because prior to that it was just this sort of... if you fought on land, you get to control your armies, but as soon as they're in a boat, you have to auto resolve it, which is really annoying. But in Empire, they added these sailing ships, and to me, it was a really nice rendition of naval combat, and it was very well done, and it was very intriguing and exciting, but it really didn't go down well with most people who played it, because it was quite slow-paced, it was very deliberate, you had to all the time bear wind in mind, and it was very, difficult, I think. And I think that's the problem with these, with that kind of game, is that if you want to make a sort of an immersive Star Citizen-esque pirate experience, it's not going to be to everyone's taste. And I think that's why these games don't get made. But this is the context of Skull and Bones is coming in, because that's going to be arcadey as fuck. Like, it'll be like Speedboat, driving around shooting each other. They've got rockets, so you can shoot in all directions.
That sounds amazing. Now, actually, you're kind of selling it to me. Driving around with a speedboat with cannons attached to it. That sounds pretty good.
Well, there's actually quite a lot of gameplay footage out already from E3 last year, I think it was, and it really does look quite. It's quite arcadey. You're sailing around the ship, you've got your broadside cannons, but you could also have these rockets that can go anywhere, and you could have all sorts of weird things like spikes you could shoot at each other, and you could ram each other, and it's a lot more fast-paced than the sort of... it's not a very authentic experience, I don't think.
No, but as you say, that's not what people want.
No, not really. It's like you say, it's zombies.
Yeah, it's true. Fucking hell, man.
Yeah, because and there you do see tech being. This is what we were talking about with the sort of the flood of zombies in World War Z and Black Masses and Days Gone. This is new tech being developed, which I think is cool. I think that's exciting.
Speaking of niche games and games that are like for some people or for lots of people, just to sort of bring the conversation back to Apex, which we'll use to springboard into like this week's topic. Apex has been super popular. I'm just wondering what you guys think about the differences or similarities between Apex, PUBG, and Fortnite, and is there a chance that Apex is going to kind of take players away? Will Apex have to either become dominant or kind of die, or is there room for all of these games? Who do they appeal to?
Yeah, so basically, a little before Black Ops 4 came out, I was thinking so there's PUBG and there's Fortnite, I think are the biggest ones back then. And Fortnite had its own kind of style and appealed to its own kind of player base. And if you didn't like that kind of game, with the mechanics it had, building, getting fucking one-shot by shotguns, your only alternative was PUBG, which was a glitchy mess.
Yeah.
And then Black Ops came along, which had a pay barrier. And also they started doing some dodgy shit with loot boxes as well, I think. They lost a few players.
And also,
so I think there's...
although their blackout mode was kind of one of the big selling points, it definitely didn't feel like this is a Battle Royale game. It felt like this is a game that has a Battle Royale mode.
Yeah. So I think there was basically always potential for like a Battle Royale giant to come along. And I think this is going to be Apex Legends, but it depends really on how they do the battle pass and how they do the store.
Yeah, and I think as we were saying, they need to probably drop a new map pretty fast, because that map is kind of small and we haven't played that much, all things considered, but we're already getting a little bit sort of tired of the same areas every time.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of waiting and seeing. They seem to be really in touch with the player base, Respawn.
Yeah,
which is good.
They do.
A lot of communication on Reddit and that kind of thing.
So my reflection on this question is, which was, where do you think they're going to take players from, or can they all exist simultaneously? It made me think of not so long ago there was an election in Sweden, and they always have these nice graphics in Sweden because there's like 8 political parties in Parliament that they sort of track which voters move to other parties. There's like 10,000 people they ask or whatever, who did you vote for last time? Who did you vote for this time? And then you can roughly estimate how many people are being pulled away from certain parties to other ones. And I just think it would be so interesting to do that with this, because I don't see, I think Fortnite and PUBG, despite being very similar games, because basically Fortnite's a copy of PUBG, let's face it, they actually represent very different sides of a spectrum between, super arcadey, bunny hopping around, floating midair, shooting you with a rocket launcher, versus very slow-paced, methodical, tense, intense gameplay.
I mean, people often say it's kind of like a realistic sort of simulator, I guess, because it's from the armor game, right? Originally, which was meant to be.
So I don't think really that Fortnite took that many players from PUBG. I mean, maybe they did, but those players weren't going to stick around in PUBG anyway, and vice versa. Apex is kind of interesting because I can see people moving. I'm in the PUBG camp in that dichotomy, and I can definitely see myself enjoying Apex, but I never play Fortnite. But equally, I can see people who maybe enjoy Fortnite a lot getting into Apex because it's sort of nearer to it, and furthermore, I can see it drawing players from Overwatch because it's basically, Overwatch Battle Royale in some sense. So it's a very clever design positioned, in the middle of a sort of design space between different games.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel like that was the intention. As in, I don't think that the game was designed to fit a market kind of space. I just think it happens to do that, which is great. And it's going to do very well from it, I think, because as I say, I don't see people moving from Fortnite to PUBG or vice versa, but I can see all people moving towards Apex because I mean it's great. It is great, and I think what we were saying is that it feels like a battle royale game that was built from the ground up to be a battle royale game. And when you're playing it, there's so many things where you're like, oh, that's so good. Like, why isn't this another battle royale game? It's just simple shit like knowing quickly which things you can and can't use when you hover over them. And the sort of the players saying things to kind of remind you of what's going on.
The ping system.
Most importantly, that's what I was going to say. Most importantly, the ping system, which is kind of leading us into the topic that I thought we could talk about.
Exactly.
See what I did there?
Yes, that was neat.
So the idea, what I thought we should talk about is games that kind of simulate your perception or your awareness, which you can't obviously have in a game. Because if you were actually running around in Kings Canyon in Apex Legends, your vision isn't limited to a sort of square. And your sound isn't limited to the kind of depth that you can get out of your speakers or your headset.
Yes.
And you are, a physical person in a physical space with perceptions, which you can't really get across in a video game very well. And so one of the things that they've done for that is the ping system, which I think is brilliant. But, I was just thinking we could talk about other examples of games that do this and where it works well, where it doesn't work well. Are there issues, particularly in a sort of multiplayer sense, where it could be seen as unfair? Is part of the game that you don't have these senses and you have to do well, or could part of the game be to replicate these?
Yes.
And also, should there be, could you look at having different levels of it? So if you are playing as a character who is particularly, should have a good perception, can you increase these mechanics, or should you decrease them if you're like a low-level player?
Yeah. Well, this is so interesting. And so if I understand it correctly, it's basically mechanics or concepts in game where the game provides you with things that your character perceives or senses, which aren't necessarily directly what you're looking at or directly what you hear to your side.
Yeah, it's allowing the game mechanics, which are somehow trying to assist you in perceiving the game world.
Yeah, which in a way your character does.
Exactly. So one of the perhaps most obvious examples is hit indicators. And I can't remember which game this came out in, but whoever thought of this was like, he must have just been like, I've cracked it, I've got it. Because previously, if you were being shot at and you don't know where you're being shot at, which is presumably not like in real life, where I presume if you've been shot, you have a pretty good idea where you were shot from.
Well, it's maybe You made me think of Doom, the first one, when you can see his little face, in the bottom bar with your ammo and your guns and stuff.
Right.
And every time you get shot, he goes like, ooh.
Yeah, exactly. And when you hold down the machine gun, he's like clenching his teeth together.
Yeah. But it's just sometimes you'll just see him going like, ooh, ooh, and you're like, what? Who's shooting me? And you can't see it. There's no indicator. But then you think of something like Halo, and there's like suddenly you've got this like little line that comes up showing you.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder where that came in.
I wonder too. I'm going to try and find out.
Yeah, but no, that's a very clever thing. And the other thing that I started thinking about now is because you said the ping system is if I'm playing Apex with you and you run into a building and then you say like, oh, there's armor here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I then get an outline of that armor that I can see through walls, right?
Yeah.
And this I think is a very clever sort of example of that system because my player knows that there's armor there now because you've told me.
Exactly.
But I can't see it, and it's been revealed to me. So it's something that your sort of character has succeeded in, sort of.
Well, you can't see the outline, but you can kind of see you can see like an exclamation of where you pinged it.
Yeah, you get like a little marker.
Yeah. And so your character knows that, or he could, and so your character knows that. So that's what's pretty cool. But then if you take that a step further, there's this game Scum, which is another battle royale game on the PC on Steam, and in this one you have 4 stats. I think it's something like strength, constitution, intelligence, and something else. Perception might even be. It might even be perception.
There's also stealth, I think.
Yeah. So one of the things that game does very well is if you see someone, you sort of you're looking at them through a scope, and they're running along past a building, and then they disappear behind the building. If your character has a certain level of intelligence, or maybe it's perception, or one or the other, a certain set of stats, you can see an outline of their character continue moving into the building. You can see where they move the next 3 seconds, and then the sort of outline decays. And that's meant to sort of simulate to you, and I think this is very similar to what you're saying, Steve, that your character can sort of work out what they're going to do because your character's that smart. So he can sort of see what they would be doing. And then
definitely,
you catch it. Yeah.
This is actually a really good point. It's what I wanted to talk about because it's perhaps one of the more contentious uses of it. Because when there's a hit indicator, I think we all agree like it's fair that if my character gets hit, I should know where it comes from. Or like the grenade indicators, because if you were actually there and somebody lobbed a grenade, you'd hear it like clattering along the floor, so you'd have a good idea of where it was. So you don't have that depth sound in the game, so it helps you by highlighting it. Yeah. But when you're looking at Scum, which I've never played, but I understand it's a multiplayer game, you've now got a system where it's not kind of something which people would consider as necessarily fair. It's now got to the point where there could be a debate, as in, is this just basically cheating or leveling up or making the game easier, or is this a fair way of recreating perception in the game? Is part of what makes the game fun and what makes the game a skill-based game being able to have these understandings and perceive these things without the aid, or not, basically.
Well, and that's the thing, because then the issue you're drawing attention to is like it's sort of two, in a way, fundamentally different design philosophies. You can have a game like say Star Citizen as an example, where you create a character, you don't have any skills or attributes. You are as good at flying your ship as you are good at flying ships. Yeah. You can't level that up. Versus a game where, like you say, you level up your character and now you can see people behind walls for a few seconds because your character works out where they go. And I think that if you're going to accept that characters are different, or that not everyone plays like a carbon copy of every other character, then I think this is a really interesting avenue to go down because it opens up really interesting mechanics. And to bring it back to Apex, unless I'm wrong, there's a character in that. Is it Bloodhound?
Who can scan surroundings.
Yes, I can see where people have been. Right?
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Now that's pretty cool because it's a skill that he has, which other characters don't have. Right. And that's basically a perception skill. And I think it's pretty neat.
It is very neat. However, you could also envisage, a game where everybody has that skill, because if somebody's been running through mud recently, you could see fresh footsteps. I imagine that at the moment, kind of graphically and processor wise, it's not possible to do that on an open world battle royale game. But so instead, you've got this kind of system to help you perceive what you would reasonably perceive if you were there in real life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. I think there is an element of technological challenge to achieving that kind of fidelity, like you say. But I do think that if you are making a game where you have different characters in a sort of Overwatch style, I do think it's exciting to not just make them different in how much health they have, how much armor and how much damage they do, and like what their ultimate ability is, but also to differ with them in that sort of mechanical way, because then you have these like qualitatively different traits. It's not just like this guy's got more health, this guy's a bit faster, in a way that For Honor can sort of be games like that, where you can have the big strong guy who hits hard and has lots of health, or the little fast guy who their health and does etc. But
it's another interesting way of differentiating skills.
Yeah, exactly, and because it also opens up, like, what does it mean to be a smart character? Like, it doesn't just mean that you get to cast spells, because that's basically what intelligence has been throughout the history of video games. It's like,
that's true.
If your character's intelligent, you can cast spells. Now it's like, if your character's intelligent, you could sort of deduce what someone is likely doing if they're running into a building and moving towards the stairs.
But it's funny because, I guess unsurprisingly, these skills tend to be pretty OP. Bloodhound's ability to see where enemies are, and then his ultimate ability, which like highlights them in red, it's incredibly good, especially if you're a good player already, and now you've suddenly got this perception buff. Yeah. It's dangerous, very dangerous.
Yeah, I guess that it needs to be balanced properly. But I think this is, a challenge developers are going to face as people do this more and more. I mean, I can see this becoming a big thing in the future. We think about VR and starting to mess around with this in VR. That would be really cool.
So one other thing in Scum that I've seen, which I think is very cool, is the way they do third person.
Oh yeah, that's so good.
Do you know about this?
Yeah, so it is third person. However, you can't see around corners, or you can't see enemies around corners. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So if your character's eyes can't see around a corner, you're not going to see any enemies around that corner.
Yeah, that's really good. And
I think it's really cool. I hope it, like, because I guess, like, in principle it seems really cool, but I can kind of see the kind of situation where you're running about and you don't realize that your character can't see around a corner, and then you just get fucked.
Yeah, and I think one of the ways this works, I could be mistaken, is that if you then sort of peek around the corner and you do see the enemy, if you have a high perception skill, you can still kind of see them for a little bit after you stop peeking around the corner, because that's meant to simulate you. Which is, I guess, what one of the sort of points I'm trying to make, which is that if you're playing paintball, I don't know if either of you've played paintball, but you don't, if you see someone, you're like, oh, there they are, and now you're focused on the fact that that person is there, and so if you hear moves or rustling or whatever, you're like, oh, that must be him, and now he's behind that piece of cover. And you don't have that in video games, or at least you don't have the at the moment, that it's not sufficiently kind of detailed, especially the sound systems aren't detailed really to give that away.
But this is one of the things where this system can do really well, I think, is if you have one character who's just a Joe Schmo off the street and he hears rustling, he might just, you could do the outline of a person there with a question mark on, because it's like, there's a guy there. I don't really know what kind of a person, but there's clearly someone there with a noise. But if you're some elite operative and you hear that rustling, you might be able to deduce, okay, this is like two people who are crouched and they've got this equipment and, they're likely in this sort of a posture.
Yeah. This guy had like ham for lunch, and this guy is a little bit overweight.
Like those sort of cheesy Sherlock Holmes deductions, like.
What's his name? Jason Bourne, whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah, that would be really neat.
Do any games do this?
Provide that kind of detail? I don't know.
Not necessarily that kind of detail, but do any games sort of, aside from Scum, which we've mentioned, do any games kind of try and recreate this?
Not that I know of. Not to my knowledge. I mean, sometimes you get games where there's a character who can sort of see through walls or whatever, or have some sort of... I mean, if you look at I mean, a really good playground for this, an experimentation with this sort of mechanic that you're discussing, or that you raised, Liv, is Alien versus Predator, where you have one character who can have different visual modes.
Yeah, that's right.
To see, sort of, is it heat, and then there's one which is like
heat mode, and then infrared, I think, and then
So this is the Predator in Alien vs Predator, and he can go like wow, 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 and like change his vision mode.
That's exactly what it sounds like.
And you can see infrared, or you can see that's the one.
Yeah.
Wow. And then you've got the aliens who see something differently. I can't remember what it was, but they have some sort of visual.
I think enemies are maybe just highlighted for them or something like that.
Yeah. But that's really cool. I think that's really neat.
And another element, this is beyond the scope, another element was the way that the aliens could friggin' climb on walls and ceilings. That was amazing.
Yeah, that was really good.
It was such an innovative game for its time.
And the way that their blood is acid, so you could...
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You could sort of use it as a weapon almost.
I just felt like, who the fuck played that game as a human? It's like they were always trashed. Like, you stood no chance. Like,
yeah, it's like, did you not watch the freaking movie?
It's like, humans suck, man. No, but that's good. I'm just thinking of other games. Another way they do it. I was just going to say one thing is if you look at the games like Battlefield, where you've got these different roles, and in that one, if someone cries out medic, if you're a medic,
jumps up.
Well, if you're a medic, you sort of see an icon over there, that character who called for you, which is pretty cool as well, because it sort of is portraying it's conveying the fact that your character is sort of trained to hear people who need a medic and listen to it.
Yeah. I
still think people really just like filter that out. It's just part of the background noise.
Most of these things are really, really just ways of visualizing stuff that you should be able to hear and locate. That's how it feels to me. It's a way of helping you spatially situate sounds. That's how it works primarily.
I think on the one hand, but I mean, in that case, maybe another way of doing this, because I hear what you're saying, that basically that it's sort of like a fix for the fact that the sound isn't good enough to sort of...
Yeah, the sound is flat or flatter than it is in real life.
Sure, but I mean, another way to think about it might be that everyone can hear someone shouting for medic, but it's only the medics whose perception is sort of attuned to that, because it's sort of their job. So they're going to be finding it easier to pick up that kind of noise through the battlefield. And another way of doing that might be to just play with the actual sound rather than using icons to signify that. To make the calls for medic a lot louder if you are a medic.
But it's, cool, it's everything though, isn't it? Because if you're in a field, I don't know, and there's lots of people all around you, and somebody shouts for medic, so there's, as we mentioned, the fact that it's easier for you in real life to spatially locate where a sound is coming from than it is in a video game.
Yeah,
and also there's just the kind of contextual clues. When you look at someone, you can see their mouth is moving. You can kind of more easily distinguish features. You can, it's everything, which I think it's trying to recreate. As you say, part of that also is that you are more like you're more tuned in to listen to that as a medic. But I still think it's
No, I see your point, and it's a point well made. But it is pretty neat, these systems of bringing you down into it. And talking of sound, and another way that games immerse you like this are those kind of minor sounds. I think you mentioned this earlier, like with regards to Apex. Your character might say like, "Oh, now the zone is approaching, we better get moving," or "Oh shit, someone's died. At least it wasn't us." And it can be small things as well, like, "Okay, I've just got one left in the clip. I've got to reload soon," or like, "Hey, I'm reloading. Cover me." And those sort of things really suck you into the game.
They do. And one of my favourite examples is Uncharted, where, when you get into cover and people are shooting at him, the character kind of winces, and then if a grenade lands near you, he's like, "Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit." And then you have to you kind of run away. And when he's reloading, you can kind of hear him like panting as he's like trying to reload the clip.
So that's a similar thing to what you're talking about immersing you into the character.
Yeah, it's similar. Yeah, it is similar.
Because I mean, you're talking about, sort of showing the world to the player the way your character sees it, rather than the way the player sees it. But
that's a good point.
But this is immersive because it does kind of the same thing, because it's showing you the sort of emotionality of the character. Whatever you're feeling, your character is terrified that there's a grenade landing near him. He's like panicking because otherwise it's easy to just play every game as a sort of as a meta game them, and just like, okay, now he threw a grenade, I better move. Okay, now it's time to do this. Now it's that. And you become disconnected from it.
Which is maybe one of the reasons why the hero games are quite popular as well, because each hero, if they're well done, has a pretty cool personality.
Yeah.
Like Mirage. I mean, this is going to sound stupid, but when you do the drop at the beginning and you click like where you want to go. So whenever I'm not Jump Master, I'll suggest somewhere, but it's just a suggestion. Like I don't care where we go. So when Mirage does it, he's like, yeah, we could drop here, but just a thought. Whereas when other people do it, they're like, let's drop here. We got to drop here. It's like, no, we don't have to. I'm just suggesting it.
That's neat. And that is good. And I think that because in a way, I mean, this is maybe. I mean, no. I think this is connected to the topic. In a way, it's kind of a bad direction the gaming industry has gone, when it's so easy as a player to just sort of zone out and like metagame everything, and you're no longer experiencing what your character is. You're just playing the game, kind of thing. I don't know if I am expressing it well enough, but it's like you're not.
I know what you mean.
You're not actually feeling the tension and the stress and the excitement. You're just sort of clicking your way through the game. But so you need those sort of immersion anchors to pull you back into the game.
Yes, and also, sorry, just to riff off that, it's true as well that although on the one hand, having these cues make the game easier in a sense. Yeah. They also make it harder in another way, because if you are extremely good at a game and you, as you say, you've meted it and you're a machine, you're just pulling triggers and you know which way to go, you're 360 no-scoping people. Yeah. It suddenly becomes harder if you can't flank up on people, or if your presence when you're running around is much more obvious to players as it would be in real life, unlike as it is in games often, where so all of a sudden, if you're just like sprinting around carrying a huge sniper rifle,
360 no-scoping people,
360, jumping up on 360 no-scoping, you're going to make a hell of a racket.
So I think that this system you're describing is such a good immersion anchor, because it pulls you in, and especially when you have a diversity in a cast of characters like Apex has, it's neat. And when you can make a character in a game like Scum your own by making them, either so retarded that if someone goes into a house, they have literally no idea what they're doing. Maybe they just go to the bathroom, versus a character who's like, very sharp, very combat trained, who can understand. That guy was carrying a sniper rifle, and he's got into a 4-story building. He's probably going towards the stairwell, And then you can you could represent your character deducing that by allowing him to see the outline of the enemy player for a few seconds. I think that's really neat.
It is neat. There's another example of this, which I think is perhaps less kind of neat, less innovative, which is perhaps a bit overused. I'm thinking of, in particular, the Witcher 3, for example, with the Witcher vision. Yeah. There's like a lot of games will kind of have this, and it's like, oh, now you can see smells, and now there's a ghostly trail for you to follow. It's almost a good idea, and I get what they're doing, where it's like, the Witcher is this mutant with super heightened senses, and so we need to try and represent that, which is what we've been talking about. But then the way they do it is maybe not the most kind of innovative.
Where it's like you're following like a super obvious like blood trail. Yeah. Like guts spewed all over the floor. Yes. It's like, how did you see that, Witcher?
Exactly. And
that's definitely true.
And paradoxically, the view that you get actually just completely blinds you to everything else. You're just stupidly following this like red smoke trail, and then like, oh fuck, there was a bear here. I didn't fucking see him because I was like in my Witcher mode.
There's some game, and I can't think of which one it is, but maybe you can help me remember. It has this mechanic where if you're like walking along and something, your character is like alerted to something, then like kind of like a yellow exclamation mark appears like around the screen in the direction that is, and it's like flashing, and then you don't know what it is until obviously you turn and face it, but like your character is aware of it.
I don't know what you mean exactly, but there's a similar thing which is excellent actually in Naughty Dog games, like Uncharted, and you just reminded me, actually, this is a really fucking good example of it, where if there's something that the game wants to draw your attention to, or which your player, like if your player's attention is caught by something, it gives you a little button prompt, and it says, I can't remember what button it is, L1 or whatever. And
press
L1, and then your camera turns or pans, and now your camera is facing the distraction that caught your player's attention. It's an incredibly good way of kind of, both in this instance, kind of merging cutscenes with gameplay, but also recreating the fact that there's a sound or something has alerted you. And
your character's attention,
you have perceived something elsewhere off screen.
I don't know what game has that mechanic. I can think of it now, but I just can't remember. But it's really good because then you see like this flashing like yellow exclamation mark, and you don't know what it is, but it's like it's flashing and it's stressful, and it's like, oh my god, what is it? And then you turn around and you see whatever it is, and it could be like a character who was like approaching you or something.
That is a really good example, actually, because it's like, if I'm sitting in my house and the front door opens, that's going to pretty much freak me out, whereas in a video game, it's like, oh, just the sound.
The character just is completely like the same blank facial expression, like, oh, someone came into my home, no worries.
Exactly.
It sounds like they're dragging a golf club behind them. Oh well. You with that nonsense, with that bullshit with the witch's sight as well.
Yeah,
you reminded me also of the Red Dead Redemption hunting fucking thing. When you have to trace things that tracks.
That's not great, is it?
In both of those games, it's like you have these intense action sequences, which are awesome fun, and that's the sort of the rhythm of the gameplay is doing that. And then all of a sudden, it's like, nope, you've got to turn on this thing, everything goes blurry, you have to move super slow.
And it's like now you can't enjoy the environment anymore because everything's gone black and white or whatever.
And also you have to stand at just the right angle towards this, like, painfully blue lit up blood smear on the wall in order for your character to interact with it. It's a
bad mechanic.
Yeah, it's a weak. Well, it's a good. It's a bad mechanic, but the reason it's bad is because it's a weak implementation of this. Sort of perception thing that you're talking about.
Of the idea,
Which is funny because actually in Apex Legends, Bloodhunters system where they can see recent tracks is really good. It doesn't break the gameplay at all, and it's just got these. I don't know if you've seen it, Pilgrim, but there's little kind of diamond-shaped icons, and the icon is different depending on what it is you've seen. So if someone ran there, it would just be footsteps. But if somebody vaulted over a railing, it gives you like the vaulted thing. Or if somebody was bleeding, it gives you like a blood sign. Or if somebody was like guns were shot, then it's like the gunfire one. And that would be way better in Red Dead, for example, if you're hunting, I don't know, buck or whatever, and then you pick up the trail. Then instead of like having to kind of go into this weird black and white mode where you follow this blue wispy streak and then like all of a sudden the fucking buck is right there, but you didn't see him because you were in this stupid like mode anyway. Instead of that, you just got these little icons which sort of indicated what the person's been up to.
Yeah, I mean, God knows I fucking love Red Dead 2, but the hunting in that game turned out into a mess because in the end, all you just did was galloped on your horse and like tried to use auto aim to snap onto things.
That's
like
literally
KO them
foxes that way.
Mid gallop,
like drive-by fox hunting.
I mean, that's what it was, and it's a shame, but so now actually this is a good point. It's been a while. So a long time ago, I played a deer hunter game. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was Deer Hunter like 2002 or Deer Hunter 2000 or something. And I really, really enjoyed it. Deer Hunter 2005 it was. I really enjoyed that game. I just started at uni and it was a very relaxing experience. Contrasting with the stress.
It's a while ago.
Yeah, you'd sit and you'd basically just walk around. You'd sit in the spot. You'd drop a lure, and then you have this. Well, the graphics are pretty shit now, I guess. But back then, it was this gorgeous scenery. You just watch the sun go down. Scanning the screen for deer until you go cross-eyed and the picture goes fuzzy, and then you go to sleep. It was very, very cool. But recently, the only other I tried to because I loved that so much. I saw this game called The Hunter: Call of the Wild when I was in the States. I picked it up. By the way, this is a rant for another day. But the game I picked up in the States belongs to a different sort of digital market or something.
Yeah,
so I now can't buy DLC to it on the PlayStation here because I can't buy the correct DLC from the correct digital markets because now I'm in Europe.
No.
It's like Okay, I'm not even going to start that rant. I can feel it coming up, but I'm going to push it down again. But anyway, that's another day. The point I was going to make was these games really live and die by this system that you're talking about, Sleeve, and it's probably this genre of games with the longest tradition of trying to do this, to show you that, like, you know, you are a hunter and you can see these tracks and these traces, and they try and highlight it to show the fact that your character can perceive them. But it is a difficult thing to get right, because, like you say, it sort of distracts you from the rest of the ambience and, you know, the surrounding world when you're like zoomed in looking at some deer scat that's flashing blue. You don't. So it does weird things to your perception, and I wonder what a better way of doing it is.
So this sounds like there's kind of like three sort of things that we've identified, I guess. One is that it's a way of helping you perceive what you would otherwise have perceived if it weren't for the limitations of the game. So the fact that you have a limited field of view, the fact that the depth of the sound isn't good enough, the fact that you can't actually feel physical things happening.
Like grenade icon.
Like grenade icon, like hit indicators, little icons popping up where something's out of your field of view, but where you would otherwise reasonably have been able to see it.
Yeah, I hear you.
There's also the idea of using it as a system as a kind of skill. So people will have better or worse perception, and so you are inhabiting the body of a soldier, and this soldier has much better perception of all things battlefield related. Or you're inhabiting the body of this hunter, and so therefore they can sort of, you know, inverted commas, see animal tracks.
Yeah.
And then there's a sort of third one, which I guess is the kind of supernatural perception which you might want to have in your games. So, for example, Blood Hunter being able to sort of see through walls, or The Witcher being able to see, you know, smells, or there was another example.
That's kind of like the second one, I guess.
Yes, it is. It is. I just sort of, I guess I was trying to separate them somehow, because the second one, I don't know. I'm just thinking about this in a multiplayer context.
Yeah. I think basically the last two you're saying there is showing you something that your character might know that you as a player don't.
Yeah.
And then the first thing you mentioned is showing you something that, you know, both you and the character know, but maybe you didn't pick up on because the sound quality just isn't there to provide the cue for that.
Yeah, I mean, we really shouldn't underestimate how limiting the field of view is in first-person shooters as well. It's, you know,
it's so weird. Like, one day, I guess there'll be a fix for it, or like somebody will have cracked it. Like, you could try to have like was it like Quake, I think, where they had like a really wide field of view?
Yeah, that's right.
But even then, you know, you're putting like a 3D projection onto a 2D screen, so it's never gonna be right.
Yeah, and then it feels sort of fisheye lens, and then you're kind of it gets all kind of messed up.
Yeah, no, it is tricky. But so while the former can't really be fixed, I guess, because it's just like, well, until someone works out a proper VR set.
Yeah, probably it's going to come with VR.
But the second category there, I think, is really something that developers, I mean, clearly are, but also should direct their attention towards. You know, trying to because once you have a system in place where you can provide the player with information about what your character knows that you as a player might not, and perhaps other characters don't, then you can start differentiating characters and introducing whole new interesting asymmetries and trade-offs and balance and stuff. It's very good.
Yeah, I'm just racking my brains trying to think of any other game sort of does this, and I can't.
I mean, there was The Last of Us.
Yes, The Last of Us had a similar mode to The Witcher Senses, didn't it? With the like listening thing.
In the single player, you could like see through walls and shit.
Yeah, that was like focus mode.
I don't know if that was in the multiplayer. I can't remember if that was there or not.
I don't think it was. But it's true. It's true that few games have, and maybe many games should have, the kind of where you know, if somebody's running around on a wall right next to yours, you know, if they're literally in the other room, then their footsteps should maybe, you should be visually able to see them. Although, and a lot of people would say, but that's like that's removing what's interesting about the game. You need to listen and hear those and make the judgment call. but it's obviously not as easy in a game as it is in real life.
Yeah, yeah. You can see that, yeah, okay, well, you should just listen, then you work it out yourself. You, as a player, sort of, draw an outline in your head. Like if you're playing CS and you hear someone shuffling about, you as a player still draw some sort of a mental image in your head. Like, yeah, he's probably around there, he's probably doing that. So I can see that. And in a game like CS, of course, that's the sort of the whole point of the game. But in some other games, maybe, there's scope to explore this.
Yeah, as a way of balancing or adding depth to the game.
Yeah, totally. And now I'm just thinking, like, imagine how cool it would be if you had a game where you had to fight extraterrestrial invaders, something like XCOM. Say it's first person instead. And one of the things you can do is autopsy whatever alien horrors you're combating. And through doing that, you learn about their bodies and where their weak spots might be. So then when you return to fight them again, now you can see their bodies become almost see-through a little bit, because now they've got something that works a bit like lungs, in this part of their body. So you can aim for that.
Could you not autopsy enemies in XCOM?
Yeah, I mean, you do that, but I mean, it provides you with various bonuses. But I'm just thinking that a neat way of doing that for example, an FPS game would be to say, okay, well, your character, he knows the physiology of these aliens, so where their, the analogous structure to a brain is.
Or if you are, if you're Agent 47, if you're walking around and you, as Agent 47, know that this guy has got a gun concealed under his jacket, that's sort of highlighted. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, or if he walks funny, he's got a bad leg, so you can hit him.
Man, now you're going to want to play XCOM again.
XCOM is such a good game, man. Did you know there's like at least 3 new XCOM or XCOM-esque games upcoming? There's Phoenix Point, there's Xenonauts 2, and I think there's one more that I've forgotten about. But it's a genre that's returning.
I haven't played the second game, but it was the case in the first game that like any of your characters could die, right? And then they'd be dead forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, permadeath.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that.
They're brutal about it.
Sorry, if I could just bring something back to what we were talking about. I just wanted to make a quick sort of distinction, I guess, between... So I think we've probably covered it pretty well and summarised sort of the key points. The one thing I wanted to maybe distinguish it from, but which I also think is really interesting, is the idea that you could balance the performance of your character as well based on this sort of difference in personality between different heroes or different character players. So, for example, the enhanced perception of a soldier or of Agent 47 is one thing, but it's also possible that if you had a character who is not a soldier, maybe the recoil on a gun is much worse, or the barrel sway is much worse.
Yes.
And I don't think that's something that's really explored at all in... obviously, it is in some games where you can kind of level up and reduce barrel sway and stuff like that. But it's not really something that you see in competitive games or in online games.
No, not so much. And I mean, sometimes you see things like the Left 4 Dead thing, where like the more injured you are, the slower you move.
Yeah.
And if you and that sort of thing, like if you're injured, you can't do this.
Yeah. Or when you're getting shot at, your screen kind of fogs up a bit, and your aiming is worse.
Yeah. So you're talking basically about drawbacks stemming from this system as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Bonuses,
or
right?
for example, just for example, if Bangalore in Apex Legends is meant to be a soldier, so perhaps her barrel sway, when she's aiming down the scope, could be less. Although there is none, I think in Apex Legends there's no barrel sway. But
you know what game does this kind of thing like this really brilliantly?
No, tell me.
Sorry, you just made me think about it. It's Penumbra. I don't know if you ever played Penumbra. It's a sort of a horror game where you have to go to I think it's an abandoned Nazi research facility in Antarctica, which is already pretty terrifying when you get there. And there are these things there, which are sort of the antagonistic creatures that sort of stalk you. And if you look at them,
I forgot about that.
The field of view, your character starts hyperventilating and starts shaking. and in so doing, alerts them to your presence. So you're forced to never really look at them, because if you do, he starts going, panicking, and then they hear you and they come for you. So you can never really look at them, and it's such a brilliant way of bringing you into your character, because you as a player then are terrified because you've got no fucking idea what it is, because you've never taken a good look because your character's too scared.
That's actually really good. I forgot about that mechanic. That's also in the other games as well, in Amnesia.
But then they had the I thought it was a good idea, but it didn't work very well. They had like the sanity meter or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was pretty cool. You start. Yeah, you start hallucinating.
Exactly. You start seeing like a talking cat or what the fuck it was when you're like hallucinating.
Yeah, or like ants crawling in your skin or something. But that's pretty cool. A cool way to. I mean, I'm thinking about other mechanics about in different games, and if you had a sort of berserker style character, a neat thing would be to maybe if you go into sort of berserk mode or whatever, instead of like for example Spartan Rage mode, they make the screen go red, and now you're really angry. But imagine if it instead just completely wiped the world, so you can barely see anything, and the only thing you can see are these huge flashing lumps of meat.
Yeah, you can't see if it's friend or foe. Even.
That would be exactly. That would be a really brilliant way of like showing you're rampaging now. You just need to kill, and it would be a sort of both a benefit, but also this.
Yes, you can maybe even lose actually control of the character a bit. So he will only occasionally, if you want him to go somewhere, sometimes he does, sometimes he goes somewhere else. Because you've sort of lost control of your senses.
Yeah. And there is a lot of space to explore this, especially as games.
There's the game that I sadly didn't play, but which I'm definitely going to pick up and play soon. I've been meaning to for ages. What's it called? Sensua's Sacrifice.
Oh, Hellblade, right?
Yeah, that's right. Doodle, did you play that?
Hellblade?
Yeah. Hellblade. Sensua's Sacrifice, again, about the sort of Viking or Pict or whatever she is, and she has to travel to hell to save her partner or something like that.
It's got really good reviews. I haven't played it either.
It's got really good reviews. It's anyway, apparently she, I don't know if it's a twist, or I think it's quite well known now, but she basically has she's psychotic, and she has hallucinations, which are sort of the enemies that she has to fight. Supposedly the dev team worked with psychologists and therapists to sort of try and accurately create in the game world. Yeah, apparently. So I guess that's another sort of aspect where there's imaginary enemies that you are perceiving. Yeah,
I mean, just to steer away a little bit from that towards something else that you just made. I mean, weirdly, you made me think of is when you start introducing technology to this. Because I started thinking about space sims, like Star Citizen, Elite Dangerous, that kind of game. It's pretty cool when your ship has different capabilities based on its equipment, and basically what you're doing is basically what we've been discussing. It's saying that now you have this scanner or this detector which allows you to see these enemies, or they light up more clearly, or you can detect them from a greater range. And that's basically the same as this, isn't it?
Yeah, well, a game which is obviously going to do this is Cyberpunk.
Yes. Fuck, that'll be
because
neat.
There you'll even be able to do enhancements to your character.
Yes.
You can get new eyes and new
that's going to be so
stuff.
Cool, playing around and exploring the concept of perception, and man, that'll be neat.
Yeah, exactly. Enhanced perception, which is sort of what the HUD is as well, the HUD, the heads-up display. In a way that's sort of displaying what you know about your
and it's not
stuff.
Always used very well.
It's a bit bog standard often.
Yeah, I mean, all games have one, even ones where you don't have a sort of, space helmet with a visor. Battlefield 1 has a HUD. Fine. But it would be cool if you had a sci-fi game where the HUD did things for you, like maybe put a little tag around enemies, or marked them, or showed their internal organs, or did something. And then you can, and as a player, you could choose different HUDs that, reveal
different filters to your HUDs.
Filters, that would be pretty cool. Again, to play around with this idea of perception and have these different trade-offs. I mean, the most you get now is night vision or not night vision.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking also about how you always know when you're playing a game how much ammo you have in your clip, how many clips you have left. I imagine that in actuality, that's one of the sort of real issues you have to manage in that kind of combat situation, which is how many bullets do I actually have left in my gun, and how many clips do I have left?
Yeah, and that's something you could explore with character differentiation. Like if you're a soldier,
exactly.
Give him
like a question mark.
Yeah.
You work it out.
Yeah, or if you you could even do it like if you, say you're playing as a character and you've got it on semi-automatic mode, and you're like shoot once every 5 seconds. Okay, now your character knows how much ammo you have. Then there's you fire in 2 bursts while there's an alien trying to rip your legs off. Okay, now maybe your character wasn't thinking so much about how much ammunition he had in his clips. There's like an estimate. Yeah, I've got maybe 10 shots now. I'm not sure, because I've been fucking eaten.
Different sort of perception states, I guess.
Yeah, that would be really neat.
That was sort of explored when I think was it. I don't know which Battlefield game it was that did this first, but when you're sort of being fired at, your screen kind of clouds up a bit.
Yeah, when you're suppressed.
Drops. Yeah, when you're suppressed, which I honestly thought was an excellent mechanic.
Yeah. No, I agree. Mostly because it gave the support class something useful to do instead of just brainlessly spraying machine gun fire at someone. You could actually suppress people. Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I think we've covered this pretty well. Maybe we'll have a little think about it and come back to it.
Write up.
Yeah, this was a really interesting topic.
Yeah, I like the idea of perception and how you can display that in video games. It's true that it tends to be quite standard. You always have the same sort of heads-up display and the same hit markers, the same grenade indicators. But why not diversify it a bit?
Yeah, agreed.
Are we? What do you think? Are we done? Have we
covered everything here?
Perceived that this episode is over?
I think that pretty much wraps it up now.
Yeah. Do we? I thank our listeners, I guess.
Thank you.
Nah, let's not thank him.
No,
kidding.
Let's thank them this time.
Psych.
Psych, of course. Yeah.
And also thanks to we didn't have a sponsor this episode, did we?
Well, I think
Anthem.
it's gonna have.
Yeah, but
it's always like every week. I think what we might have to do.
Skull and Bones.
Actually, weirdly.
No, can it please be that stupid hunt game that you bought and that you now can't get the DLC for?
Oh man, you're making me angry again. Digital rights management. Yeah, our sponsor this week is Digital Rights Management.
Digital Rights Management. Thank you for listening. Thanks also to Hakun for the cool music. HAKKUUN. Check him out on SoundCloud. And that's it, right? That's what we do at the end.
Go to our website.
Oh, go to our website. That's right. I forgot about that part. Yeah, thecriticalmess.com.
If you have any comments with this episode, tweet at us as well at The Critical Mess, I think. What is it?
Critical Mess Pod.
Mess? Yeah.
Pod.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Tweet to us. Check out the website, thecriticalmess.com. Share this with your friends. Share it with your lover. Share it with your lover's lover. Just get it out there. Listen to it while you're making love to your lover. And you will perform 150 times better. That's our guarantee. All right.
Wow.
Thanks so much. Peace out, y'all.
Hey, Dawn. Bye.
Bye. Bye.